Good afternoon, everyone. This is Marina from BFEC Global. So today again, we are here with the much awaited and biggest info session till now. So I have Mr. Linden with me today, and he is looking really good and fresh after this long weekend, isn't it, Linden?
Oh, I don't know about that, but thank you anyway.
So I think, yeah, today we will be just going through the presentation from Mr. Linden, and then if in case anyone has any question, we can just look into it. So over to you, Linden.
Thank you very much, Marina. It's lovely to be here, and always a pleasure to work with you and the PFEC team. Yeah, so look, we're going to have a short session. I'm just going to run through a presentation. I'm going to give some background around Torrens University, where we are, the courses that we have, and also, any scholarships and intakes as well. So some sort of key information for everyone. So I'm going to share my screen with the presentation, and then we'll start running through it. I'm assuming that you can see that okay? I'm assuming that you have access to be able to type any questions into the chat. So by all means, put them in there, or otherwise we can have a chat afterwards if you've got any further questions. So anyway, without further ado, so as Marina introduced me, I'm Linden Tolhurst. I'm Business Development Manager for the Subcontinent and Middle East at Torrens University. I'm based at our Melbourne campus, but as you'll see, we've got campuses all around the country. So who are we? So before I get into who we are, I want to sort of just show you sort of what we stand for. So we're Australia's newest university. We started in 2016 from an international perspective. So we started in Adelaide, and then we brought over campuses in Melbourne, Sydney, and Brisbane as well. And we started with one international student back then, and he was brave enough to invest his future and his education with us. And so we were able to bring him in, and funnily enough, he now works with us. But we've grown since then to over 11,000 international students in under 5 years. So yes, we're Australia's newest university, but we're also Australia's fastest growing university, which is fantastic to see. And I think that really shows, shows the support services we have. It shows that people enjoy our courses. It means that we've got the graduate outcomes that our students want. As well as just a great curriculum, which is the part of what we do here. So there's two things I want to highlight here. First of all, industry placements with the most influential brands in the world. So I'm going to briefly run through all of our courses as part of the presentation. But what I want to make a note of is that all of our undergraduate programs, so if you're wanting to study a bachelor course with us and a diploma, which is, but realistically, it's the diploma of nursing, that has a placement component. So what our courses are all about, and the way that they're written and delivered, is really to be an industry immersive career course for your career. So it's supposed to reflect what you're going to be doing in the workplace as you're studying it. So the reason for that is obviously you really want that job readiness. You want to be able to understand the professions that you're going to be going into, and industry placements are a really important part of that. And so that's why every single undergraduate course will have some form of placement. So if that could be an internship, if in a design course, it could be a clinical placement in a health course, and that sort of thing. And the other thing there is, and one of the reasons why I think we've grown so much, is with the support services we have, the success coaches there, which are one-on-one mentors for every single student, especially international students. Some students don't use them very much, and some students use them all the time, but they're there to guide you through your course and through into your future career. All right, so international students, yes, you're wanting to come to Australia for our education. You've come here because we have a good lifestyle, we have great career opportunities and residency pathways and that sort of thing. But the first step is to coming here and getting your education. And as an international student, you really want an international education. And so we have students in our classes from 118 different countries. So what that means is that you'll be sitting next to a student from India, who'll be sitting next to a student from Pakistan, who'll be sitting next to a student from Brazil, who'll be sitting next to a student from Sweden. So we have this real international mix of students in all of our classes, as well as domestic students as well, of course. So when you're studying at Torrens University, you really get that sort of international student experience. Now, just a few little statistics here for you. So there's two that I really want to point to. One of them refers to while you're studying, which is in the bottom left-hand corner there. So 90% of our students, international students who start their course with us, finish their course with us. So 9 out of every 10 students finish their course. That includes students who have transferred to us onshore or commenced study with us onshore in one form or another, or students who had previously come overseas and commenced their study with us as their first and only provider. So what that shows is that 9 out of every 10, if you consider the amount of different hurdles that an international student can potentially face as part of their studies, this really shows that the support services, including the success coaches, which I mentioned before, as well as the mode of testing, the way that our course is delivered, and the employability outcomes at the end of it, really show that students who want to study with us, they start and they stay with us. And I think that's the best testament to a high quality program. The other one that I want to point to there in the middle is the 90% employability. So when we say employability, what we're talking about is not just that you had a job upon completion of your course. So it doesn't mean that you've done a master degree in professional accounting and you have a job flipping burgers, at a fast food restaurant. That's not what we consider employability. What we're talking about here is employability from the context of you've finished your degree in professional accounting and you have gone into a career that you want to go into as the basis of being employed, meaning that you've gone into a job that you want based on the education you've received. So that's what we're talking about. So 90% employability is extraordinary. And that's even higher in hospitality with 95% employability. And you can see there, I said we have 11,000 international students. Actually, that's grown. That was 2020. We've actually grown since then. And there's 19,000 total. So that includes domestic students as well. Now, look, there's obviously a whole lot of statistics here, but I really want to point to just one of them. And by all means, if there's any questions about the others, I'm happy to talk about that too. But in the middle there at the top, you see 20th Global MBA. And so why is this important? There's a couple of reasons why this is important. The first one is this ranking is about not just MBAs that are delivered in Australia. This is MBAs around the world. So our MBA, our online MBA, is in the top 20 online MBAs from all of them. And this was ranked at the start of last year, which is important in and of itself. However, the reason why I think it's even more important, and I think our students would agree, is that right when this ranking came out was right at the time that in response to public health guidelines from the government, it was advised that in-class classes and tuition, as well as gatherings, especially here in Melbourne where we had the extended lockdown, that it wasn't safe to sit in a classroom and for an extended period of time and be talking and delivering a lecture to students. So as a result of that, all of our classes were delivered in an online format to make sure that our students and staff health was the number one priority. What this shows is that the students absolutely lost no quality in the delivery of the course. They've gone from a face-to-face class to an online delivery, albeit a modified one, because there needs to be more engagement in a face-to-face version, but they didn't lose that quality of delivery, and they got a globally recognized education, even though they were no longer able to attend classes. I think that's a really, really good recommendation from CEO Magazine, which is the person the group that gave us this recognition. Now, look, there's a few reasons why you would want to study in Australia, and I'm sure the majority of people watching this are already here. The one thing that I want to point out from this is on the 4th dot point there, the 2 years work post-study work visa and 3 years in Adelaide. I'll highlight that because, as you'll see on the next slide, this is where we are, including Adelaide, which has got the regional, and obviously you can avail the benefits of that. So quickly, I'm going to get into courses next, but I just want to give a bit of an explanation of who we are and where we are. So what you'll see here is that we have campuses in 4 different destinations around Australia. being 4 major cities: Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, and Adelaide. And you'll see underneath each of those, you'll see there's a list of words: business, design, creative technology, health, education, etc. And what those are essentially the faculties that we have at Torrens University. So we have a business faculty, we have an education faculty, and so on. Okay, so having these campuses in 4 different cities provides flexibility for 2 reasons. So if you're a new incoming student looking to study with us, obviously you've got the ability to commence wherever you're based, provided you're within these 4 cities, which covers population-wise, the majority of Australia. So provided you want to start with us, you can commence in any of these places. So it provides that flexibility. Or alternatively, if you're based in, say, Sydney, and you want to study the Torrens MBA, for example, but you want to avail the regional benefits, then you can commence that course in Adelaide with us. So you see, we'll get that flexibility as a new incoming student. The next thing is then, if you're a current student and you want to change to another city, you can do that very easily. So, for example, you're based in Brisbane, but you have some friends that are studying, or some family in Melbourne, so you want to change your campus to Melbourne. It's a very straightforward process to be able to change your enrolment to move to Melbourne with no interruption to your studies at all. You just need to submit a form, you come to Melbourne, and then it's just up to you to get there. So, flexibility from as a new student, but also as a current student as well. Now, I'm going to get into some courses. So we have a lot of different courses. So I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail. I'm going to give you a broad overview of the areas that we teach and the course structures and that sort of thing. Obviously, if you've got more questions about that, we can either talk about it afterwards, or by all means get in touch with the PFEC team. I work very closely with them, and they know all this stuff as well as I do. So, and if they don't, they're always happy to reach out and they can get onto me. So please, I'm going to go through it, but that's just because there's such a huge amount of courses. I don't want to spend too much time, because we go well over the 30 minutes. I'm already tracking to go above that anyway. So I'll move along now. So hospitality is a big area for us at Torrens University. Part of what we have is 2 kind of pockets of hospitality. We have management around hotel management, which are based around a basis of business degrees. So, in hospitality management, culinary management, tourism management, and those sorts of courses. And then on the other side of that, you also have more culinary management, which would take on a bit more of a practical component as well. So we have these courses primarily at undergraduate level, but we also have one undergraduate level, and one course at postgraduate level, which is the Master of International Hotel Management. But all the other ones, tourism management, all those sorts of things, they sit in a Bachelor of Business sort of center, and then you get your specializations depending on your area of interest. Now, tourism, I mean, you've got to admit it's probably a bit of a funny time to really be considering a career in tourism, considering, if you're based in Australia, you can't really go anywhere. But with that said, if we can't go anywhere at the moment, what better time to study it and take those opportunities to be able to then diversify the tourism world upon your graduation. And not only that, I think that you would probably see that, yes, international travel at the moment is difficult and problematic, but what I've noticed here in Melbourne and in Victoria is that local tourism in Victoria is now bursting, because we're able to travel here. So, tourism and people wanting to go on holidays or have experiences will always find a way. And so that's why getting an education in this sort of area doesn't mean, just because there are health concerns around the world, doesn't mean that tourism stops. It just means there are other ways that you have to find ways to make it work and succeed. Like I said, really high levels of employment upon graduation. And not only that, hospitality, especially in hotels and resorts area, has a really high potential for rapid promotion and career progression. So career outcomes from hospitality. So, the areas that I mentioned before, which are essentially the specializations that you can go into: hotel and resort, Bachelor of Business with these sort of specializations. These are the kinds of areas that you're going into. So this is not an exhausting list, but a few examples of the sorts of things that that you could be going into as a result of doing one of our hospitality courses. And just a quick look, and obviously there are a whole lot of different courses that we have with, and for the most part they have the same course structure. But I just want to point this out because it's slightly different. So I'm going to go through this for the majority of our courses, but as an individual example, within our Blue Mountains School, which is the hotel management part of Torrens University, it runs on this term program instead. So the study sequences are 4 terms per year. And you can see there, obviously, undergraduate degree, two placement components. So this part of this course, for example, is undertaken up in Lura, in the Blue Mountains, about 2 hours west of Sydney, with a residential campus. And you get to spend the first couple of years actually living and working on the campus, which is a big functioning hotel space, which is excellent. Okay, business is the next one. I already mentioned the MBA, and look, I've got this slide in here because, you know, it's, to be honest, the statistics and everything that are based on this aren't really that important. What I really want, you to take from this is that business itself doesn't necessarily lead to one thing. What it leads is to the ability to be able to go into just about anything. The skills that you obtain from a business degree, and I can speak from personal experience. I'm a Master of Business, degree graduate from Torrens myself. But what I can say is that what I've got here is, I've got some stats about weddings. I've got stats about social media. I've got marketing roles, sports industry. The reason that this is important is because you do a business degree, and every business out there, even non-business, governmental positions, they will all have components of business and the skills that you learn in that course to be able to apply. So I don't know anything about wedding planning, but I'm pretty sure there are aspects of wedding planning that I could run purely from a business perspective. I know how, marketing and those sort of fundamental core components of a business course allow you to go into a broad range of areas, depending on your interest. And so, look, this is a list. I know that this looks like buzzwords, and to a certain extent it is, but when we write our courses here at Torrens University, this is the sort of thing that we look at, and we try and incorporate these skills into the courses, which happen to be the sorts of skills that are needed for the workplace. Just to, go back one, I just wanted to go through the courses that we have. So we have a lot more at postgraduate level within business. So within undergraduate, you're looking at event management, marketing, sports management, and business information systems. Also commerce, which you can specialize in either finance or accounting, depending on your interest. The accounting is CPA accredited. And then if you go into the postgraduate space, you're really looking at, Master of Engineering Management, Master of Business Administration, Information Systems, Project Management, and Professional Accounting, which is also accredited with the CPA. Now, I've left this one in because this is what a typical study sequence looks at Torrens University. So typically you would do, this is a 3-year degree, but obviously it would be the same for a 2-year degree, but just year 1 and 2 instead of year 1, 2, 3. And so it's in 3 study patterns as a sequence. So you do 3 study periods: trimester 1, trimester 2, and trimester 3, which are 12-week study periods with 3 weeks break in between, and then a summer break. And you'll do 8 subjects over that time, which is, say, a sequence of 3-3-2. The reason I'm highlighting this is because one of the reasons I believe, and from what my conversations with students, is that one of the reasons that we have a high retention is because this flexibility around study load and being able to dictate your study pattern a little more tailored to your personal circumstances, as well as being able to undertake fewer subjects per study period, allows you to focus more and concentrate more on your classwork. So instead of undertaking 4 subjects for 16 or 17 weeks, you're undertaking 3 or even 2 subjects for that time. So it really, the academic year is slightly longer because all 3 are compulsory, but you actually find that you'll succeed a lot more. So this is for a 3-year program, but the same for a 2. Okay. So design and creative technology, we're really looking at, in undergraduate space, we're looking at more of that traditional design area. So we're looking at, more so to do with communication design, branded fashion design, interior design and more of those traditional things. At the same time, we're also looking at that creative technology space, which at the bachelor and master degree, we're really talking about software engineering and artificial intelligence and cloud computing and those sorts of, that side of design as well, in more of a software rather than a more traditional design area. That said, part of what we do is a lot of 3D design, motion graphics, and that sort of area as well. Very, very well recognized part of Torrens University is Media Design School, which is, as you can see, they're in the top 10 animation schools in the world. Graduate outcomes. Look, obviously the connections to industry I've already spoken about with the placements, but also live briefs and working with industry to deliver live briefs to either to the class or even to actual clients, which is really important. Career potential, obviously, you can see there's high earning potential. And it's also expanding massively in the world. So an important thing if you're looking at a future career is what scope is this industry in the future. And some career outcomes, so as I mentioned, these are more of the traditional sort of design spaces that you could look at and more things that you would typically imagine in here, compared to career outcomes in creative technology, which you could see is a lot more tech-based, a lot more software-based, obviously. So, depending on your interest in design, that's where you would find yourself. And just a little quick snapshot, these are some of the people might be familiar with, a few or all of these brands, which are people that we have either collaborated with or worked with or actively work with at the moment within design. Education is another area, but there's really only one main course that international students would be undertaking typically, because it's the only one that's delivered face-to-face. So that's this one, which is the Master of Education in Special Education Advanced. So this is really a course for people who are either existing teachers or people that come from a community services background or something related to that. And so you would need that to be able to go into this course, because it's a course requirement. However, it's not a teaching degree. I just want to make that clear, but it's a course really learning about, when we talk about special education, we're talking about people who have a difference in learning ability or a difference in the way that they learn. So not all people learn the same way. And obviously people need to be able to learn. Just because they can't learn in a traditional teaching model doesn't mean that they're unteachable, doesn't mean that they're not very smart or anything like that. It just means that curriculum needs to be tailored to their needs. And that's what this course is really about, is how do you educate people who have learning differences. A student with autism, which is a big specialization within the course, or a student with dyslexia, for example. Just because dyslexia affects their ability to be able to spell and read doesn't mean that they're not smart. It just means that there needs to be learning that's tailored for them. So that's what this course is really about. So it's a 2-year program again. Very, very great course that students thoroughly enjoy. Now in health, we're primarily in the undergraduate space, and they're really based around clinical courses. So Bachelor in Health Science in sort of, clinical nutrition and naturopathy and that sort of area. And also in the undergraduate space, looking at community services. So a bachelor level of community services and public health as well. At the master level, we currently have the Master of Public Health Advanced, which is a very, very popular course for people who typically come from a clinical background, but they don't have to. For people, what better time is there? On the flip side to what I was saying about tourism, what better time is there to be learning about global health than right now during a pandemic? You can see the demand for effective health strategy, effective health policy, strategies for rolling out vaccines, for example, really are important to global health. And these sorts of career outcomes that you can expect from these sorts of areas. And a really large part of what we do within health is the clinical component. So all of our campuses have that teach these courses have clinics that are open to the public, where they teach. They have a teacher there, and they have the student practitioner who treats people that come in with health problems or whatever it is relevant to the field that they are learning for actual consults. So you can see it's a large part of the course. And you can see it's a pretty big industry. Okay, and health, it's always going to be growing. Now we have also English, so I'm going to rush through the end here because I've been going too long. But you could see we do English as well for those students who are applying to us who don't meet the English requirement. We're able to package English with your main course. If you've got any questions about that, chat to the PFEC team. It's very easy for us to be able to organize a package offer for you. But that said, the important thing is that there is always every 5 weeks we have a new intake for English. Now, undergraduate program requirements, as a rule of thumb, all of these other standard documents the PFEC team can work with you to submit, but as a rule of thumb, our undergraduate programs, bachelor degrees have an IELTS requirement of 6.0, no band less than 5.5 for entry. There are some differences. There are a couple of courses that have differences depending on, you know, regulatory requirements and that sort of thing, but generally speaking. And in master, generally speaking, again, 6.5, no band less than 6 is the requirement. Now, scholarships. So depending on where you are, where you're from, there are a range of different scholarships from 15% all the way up to 35%. If you're based in Brisbane, all courses apart from the Bachelor of Nursing have a 30% scholarship, every single course. So a very, very good opportunity if you're wanting to start in our next intake, which is February 15. So that's next Monday. That's fine. We'll be able to enroll you. We will have a little bit of a late enrollment period for those people that need a bit of extra time to get their documents together. But that's our next intake. And so if you're in Brisbane or you're happy to move to Brisbane, you can avail a 30% scholarship. Otherwise, if you're here in Melbourne, Sydney, or Adelaide, generally speaking, there's scholarships from 15 to 25%. So I recommend you talk to the PFEC team, and they'll be able to give you some more information about how to get those and how we can get the maximum scholarship. And then look, for those of you offshore, just so you know, a lot of our students are studying online offshore. So I don't think there's too many watching this, but if you are and you have some questions, by all means, ask us and we'll see what we can do. Anyway, that's all from me.
Thank you so much, Linden. Thank you. I think it's really great actually to see that studying some course, they can actually go through like different kind of parts, as well as they have like a lot of choices from like which field they want to go, as well as we can see that studying at Torrens University, the the rate is really high. So I think that is something that most of the student is actually looking for the time being. I think this is now it's more about all about jobs, all about the outcome. Everything is more towards that due to COVID. Like I think it's more towards the employability as well.
Absolutely, I agree, and I think that's the real strong point with Torrens is really setting people up to succeed.
That's
upon
right.
graduation.
Yeah, definitely. Sure. Okay, thank you so much, Linden, for today. Yep.
Thank you very
I
much.
really appreciate that you actually came within the short notice, and really thankful for you for always helping us. And let's hope that we can actually go strong for this intake.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the support.
Sure. So I'll just stop the live. Thank you so much, everyone.